Welcome back to the Spread Pick'em Show with Mike and Andrew. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Not bad. I'm excited to make these picks here. We're coming off a week where we had the same record. We had a little confusion because we forgot one of the games was off the board, but we both went 8-6 last week. We both got our favorite bets right this week, so not a bad week, honestly. We're doing all right. My record's 41-35-1. You are one game better, 42-34-1. Congrats to you, but I will get you by the end of the year. So, don't gloat yet because I'll get there. So let's go over last week as we always do. We both took Tampa Bay at -4.5. They outright lost the game, and Tom Brady was left on the field doing this. Not sure what down it was. It was fourth down. Next game was for the Sunday games. Baltimore, they were a -13.5. We both took the Bengals thinking they would not do terribly on offense. They put up 3 points, and that's not going to cover most games. They lost badly. Carolina at Atlanta. I wanted to pick Atlanta. Thank God I didn't. We both got the win there with the Panthers. Las Vegas at KC. KC was a -13.5. They lost the game outright. We both thought that was too many points for a competent Raiders squad. They had a great game plan against Mahomes. I give that coaching staff credit. They won that game. Philadelphia at Pittsburgh. What happened there? Who won that game, Andrew?
Well, honestly, I'm fairly surprised that I was even relatively close to winning this. I actually should have won this. Jake Elliott
Yes, you
just
should
missed
have.
that 57-yard field goal, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. At least Travis Fulgham's looking like the best receiver in football, right? I mean, you got that going for you. There you
Oh,
go.
absolutely.
Or Chase Claypool, one of those guys. So next, Tennessee at Buffalo was played on, Tuesday night? I thought you were a fool for picking the Titans, and I will sincerely apologize for that because you got the game right. The Bills just completely crapped the bed, honestly, and they looked terrible. So that was their first, clunker of a game this year. They lost that game pretty badly. Los Angeles Rams at the Washington football team. Alex Smith comes in, and after the Kyle Allen injury, their offense looked really bad, to say the least, and the Rams won that one pretty comfortably, covered that 7.5-point spread. Arizona at New York, the Jets. Arizona was a -7. We both take the dub there. I forget the score, maybe 27-10. The Jets offense, once again, not doing much. DeAndre Hopkins, nice touchdown in that game. Jacksonville at Houston. We both went with Jacksonville. I feel like Jacksonville should have covered this game. A lot of stupid stuff happened.
Yeah.
Did you see that 4th-and-1 play where James Robinson was running to the right and then tried to throw the ball and then fumbled it? It was just one of the worst 4th-down plays I've
Oh,
ever seen.
jeez. I don't even think I saw that.
Oh, but yeah, go ahead and watch that. It wasn't as bad as that Colts play on the 4th down with when Pat McAfee was there, but still, it was pretty damn bad for a 4th down call. Next, Miami at San Francisco. You were right about this one. I was completely wrong. I was confident that San Francisco would come out and have a good game here. They benched Garoppolo, lost that game. Well, I don't even know what the score was, honestly. They probably lost by 30 points. It was a very ugly showing for the
42-17.
49ers. 42-17? All right, we'll go with that because it was really damn bad. Preston Williams, though, came around in fantasy, so I'm happy about that. That's a positive takeaway. The Giants at Dallas. Once again, you never respect my Giants. They cover that game. Of course they lost, but they covered the game, lost by 3. It was -10 Dallas. I took the win there. You took the Cowboys for the loss. Indianapolis at Cleveland. I went with Cleveland. You went with Indy. I took the win there. You took the loss. Minnesota at Seattle. A game that Minnesota probably should have won. Very, awesome game, honestly. One of the best games of the year. I think that and the Giants game, one of the best games of the year, honestly, both of those games. They go for it on 4th and inches. They don't get it. Seattle has this 94-yard drive, and Russell Wilson does Russell Wilson things, and they go ahead and win the game at the end there. Then the Los Angeles Chargers, again, they probably should have won at New Orleans. The Saints were a -8. The game went to overtime, I believe, right? Or was it a last-second field goal? I think it was overtime.
Overtime, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the Saints won by 3. Chargers easily covered the 8. That was one of my favorite bets. So we got that one. All right. Now let's hop into whatever week it is. What is it? 6? Week 6 now already? Pretty
Week
crazy.
6. Yep.
Yeah. Look at that. We start with, there's no Thursday games, which is, hence the reason we're recording on Thursday when the game probably should be starting, but there is no game. So we start with Houston at Tennessee. Tennessee is a -3.5. This line kind of confuses me personally because Houston played a very injured and crappy Jacksonville defense that probably made them look a lot better. I still have no faith in Houston's defense. We both go Tennessee here. I just don't really see the point of the 3.5.
I don't really know how you can when Tennessee just beat up on a really, really good Buffalo team. And they made Buffalo look bad. That's hard to do. That's something that Buffalo, That's something Buffalo hasn't allowed any team to do so far. Tennessee, I predicted to outright win, but you decided to go with the 2.5 spread instead of picking winners for that one. Just wanted to point that out there. But yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee here. I really don't think I need to do much explaining. 3.5 points, that's a little low for me, especially, again, against this big win against Buffalo. I really like the pass rush that Tennessee was able to get on Josh Allen last week, and I think they're going to get it even more on Deshaun Watson because I think the Texans' offensive line is lesser than the Bills. So I'm going to go Tennessee here.
Yeah, 100%. I just don't think Houston, who has one of the worst run defenses in football, will be able to stop that big man Derrick Henry, who sent Josh Norman to a different dimension. I don't think it'll be that bad, but I still think they'll have a lot of trouble stopping him. Ryan Tannehill once again looked great in that game, so I think stopping that Titans offense is going to be a big issue. And do I trust Houston's offense to score on Tennessee's defense consistently? I mean, not really. As you said, their offensive line is not that good. I know Romeo Crennel is 1-0 right now, which is fantastic. But once again, as I said last week, they played that injured Jacksonville defense, which is already bad to begin with. Now you add some injuries to them, it made them look better than they actually are. So I will go with Tennessee there. I'm pretty confident in that one. I don't know if it's going to be a favorite bet, but still I'm confident Tennessee will take that one. Next, the Washington football team. They visit my New York Giants, and the Giants are a 2.5-point favorite. The first time the Giants are favored this year. You are the Giants hater on this video. So tell us why Washington's going to cover the spread. You probably think they're going to outright win this game, don't you?
To be honest, this is one I switched probably 5 or 6 times, if I'm being completely honest with you. Giants throw me off. They really do. You can't get any sort of consistency whatsoever from the New York Giants, so they throw me off completely in this one. But I went with the Washington football team, the team with no name, specifically because I don't think New York's going to be able to score that much. I know they came off a huge week against Dallas. Their offensive line looked pretty salvageable. He got some nice time. Jason Garrett, give a lot of credit to him for that win. Great play calling. But this Washington defensive line it's not anything worth messing with. And I think in week 1, the Eagles' offensive line, as hurt as it was, is better than the Giants' offensive line going into this week. And if they got 8 sacks against them, I can only imagine what Daniel Jones is going to do. Now, I do like Daniel Jones throwing the ball away. I think you see a lot of balls that are just thrown away. I think that's an instruction that you need to give Daniel Jones going into this game. But I like you said, I think Washington has a legit shot to outright win this game. I'm not too confident either side here. I wouldn't bet this if I were you. But yeah, I like Washington.
I said Giants win this one 20-16, so I will go with them to cover this one. The Chase Young and Andrew Thomas matchup, considering how much Thomas has struggled so far, definitely scares the crap out of me. Don't get me wrong. The Giants' offensive line, the right side's been okay, not the left side. But, yeah, it's a little concerning. Washington does not have the weapons to scare me, and the Giants' defense has been actually not that bad this year. I know Dallas scored a decent amount on them, but still, Dallas has had a great offense all year. They held the Rams to 17 the previous week. So, honestly, not that bad of a defense for New York. I mean, I fear McLaurin, but the way James Bradbury is playing, like, he might as well lock him up as well. Of course, I fear Antonio Gibson, but outside of that, really nothing going on for Washington's offense. I don't know what the Giants offense is going to do, but they can probably put up 20 points. Hopefully, if they can reach that number of 20, I think the defense will hold Washington to a number where they should be able to cover this spread of only 2.5 points. So I'll go with the Giants. You go with Washington. Next is the Atlanta Falcons under new management, basically. New head coach. They're going to get a new GM. Minnesota is still a 4-point favorite. This game's at Minnesota. I remember these guys played week 1 last year, and I think Minnesota beat the crap out of them. I know it's like somewhat different rosters here, but we both, I believe, like Minnesota in this matchup. So tell us why.
I like Minnesota's offense against Seattle, and I view the Falcons' defense as maybe slightly better, if not slightly worse than Seattle. I think you see a very similar game from the Vikings offensively. But this scares me. Historically, teams, when they fire their head coach and GM, decide to just go off for a week, decide to just do incredibly well. The Atlanta Falcons are very capable of doing so. They haven't done it so far this year, but this would just be another Falcon storyline to, just absolutely drop probably like 50 points when they don't have anything going for them at all. But yeah, this is the way the Falcons started off the season last year. They started off really, really rough, and they got to a really, really good point second half of the season. I don't think they hit that mark yet against Minnesota. This one's a tricky line. Again, this is one of my no-no bets. because, again, when you're facing a team without a GM and a head coach, or, firing of a GM and a head coach, you're very unpredictable. I don't like to touch these usually, but I am going to go with Minnesota based on their performance against Seattle last week.
Yeah, it's always concerning to bet a team against the new head coach team, but I do like the Vikings as well. I know Dalvin Cook's probably not going to play. If Julio Jones was 100%, I'd feel like more entitled to pick the Falcons because I think that's a big difference in this game. Don't think Julio's still 100%, although he'll probably tough it out and play. But at the same time, I think the Vikings, I know Alexander Madison's probably going to have a decent game in this one. I mean, they have a great running back system over there, so they'll be fine with that. They can move the ball with Jefferson and Thielen. So I think, this will be a high-scoring game. And as we said, of course, Atlanta can come out and put up a lot of points, and maybe the Vikings don't match that, and Atlanta finds a way to win this game. But I think the Vikings defensively, although they lost some pieces over the offseason, they're still a better defense than the Falcons are. They're a bottom 3 defense in the league. So I think right now these offenses are pretty close, but defensively I think the Vikings are a little better. So I'm going to go with the Vikings here. They are the home team, much better coach team. I mean, Zimmer's all right. He's definitely better than what the Falcons have right now. So I will take the Vikings to win that one by more than 4 points. Next is the Chicago Bears on extended rest. They played Thursday. They're at Carolina. Both teams coming off wins. Carolina is a 1-point favorite in this one, and we both happen to like Carolina.
Yeah, I'm going to go Carolina here because I think the majority of the success that Chicago had against Tom Brady last week was their ability to push him outside the pocket, and he really couldn't do anything from that point. With Teddy Bridgewater, that's a completely different story. You push Teddy Bridgewater outside of the pocket, he has a lot of different things he can do. He can throw downfield, throw it short, and he can run with his legs. So I really don't like the matchup defensively against the Carolina offense. They really established the run well. I know you've been enjoying your Mike Davis days on your fantasy football team, even though that's going to be coming to an end very, very soon. But, yeah, I just like Carolina overall. I think they played a really, really good game against Atlanta. Again, a crappy defense, like you stated, against, or crappy defense in the Falcons in that Minnesota matchup. So you really can't tell much off of that. But I don't buy this Chicago stuff. What are they? They're 4-1 right now. I really don't buy it. They're probably the worst 4-1 team in the NFL at this point. I think they can lose to a lot of teams that are under 500 if I want to be honest. So, yeah, I'm going to take Carolina on this one. Teddy Bridgewater is going to own the game.
How dare you not believe in Nick Foles after all he's done for you? No, but Mike Davis, you're right, has been phenomenal. I mean, in my fantasy leagues, I have 2 of them where I not wasted, I should say, but I spent $50 out of a $100 budget to pick up Mike Davis. I know it was like a 4-week thing. It has been so worth it so far. The guy's on pace for 150 catches, so it's been phenomenal. But for this game, Chicago, as I said, has the extended rest. I like that for them. I don't trust their offense to have any type of consistency. I like some of their pieces. Of course, Allen Robinson was getting very heavily targeted. They even used Montgomery, the running back, getting him some targets as well. They had a play with Darnell Mooney that should have been a touchdown. Nick Foles completely missed him. So they definitely left some points out there on the field. And I feel like Chicago, while they're pretty unpredictable on offense, they're pretty talented as well. But Carolina this year, I mean, they've been pretty damn good. We know Robbie Anderson's been like a top 5 receiver the way he's playing so far. I wouldn't say in general, but the way he's played so far. I think DJ Moore at some point is going to have a big game. And as we said, Mike Davis has been great. A former Bear, by the way, revenge game for Mike Davis and maybe his final start before McCaffrey comes back. So, it could be a game that I think is probably somewhere in the 20s. I would probably say maybe a 27-24 type game. I'm still going to take Carolina, and a win would put them at 4-2, and that would be a great start to the Matt Rule era. I personally did not see that coming. I thought they'd be all right. I thought they were not going to be like a 2-14 team. They had too much talent offensively, but to start potentially 4-2 would be just phenomenal for the Panthers. We'll see what they can do, but I will take them as well as you. Next is the Detroit Lions coming off a bye. They are at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Detroit is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. We differ here. I'm taking the Lions and you're taking the Jaguars. Tell us why.
I'm taking the Jaguars purely on Gardner Minshew. I just think he has a game. He's shown that he has games against bad defenses. Even last week against the Texans, slow start, but a great finish. Too bad that Jacksonville defense really couldn't get anything going pressure-wise against Deshaun Watson. He was just ripping him down the field. But I believe in Gardner Minshew. Last year wasn't a fluke. I think we've established that already. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Jacksonville. Again, not really too much of a statistical argument here. The Lions do have the bye week going for them, which scares me a little bit. But the Lions being favorites, and them being one of the most inconsistent teams offensively. 1 week they're not doing much. The next week they're doing everything. a little tricky to me. And I know as a DeAndre Swift owner, now I pass them on to you. I don't really know what's going on with their running game. I'm going to be completely honest. They haven't really established a main back yet. Kerryon Johnson, who knew he would be on waivers this year? He's on waivers in almost every single fantasy league I have. DeAndre Swift, yeah, he's okay. Adrian Peterson, I guess. But I don't really like the running back situation there, and I don't think they established anything on the ground, which means Matthew Stafford all day, and I'll take Gardner Minshew in that matchup.
As I told you, my conspiracy is that they signed Adrian Peterson to beat, Barry Sanders for the not all-time rushing record, but to pass him on the all-time rushing list. I think once he passes him, it's all DeAndre Swift from here on out. I'm just kidding. I don't know. That's kind of a dumb conspiracy. But for this game, Jacksonville, as we said, their defense is banged up. They're not good. Detroit has the extended rest, and it probably doesn't benefit them as much as another team because I don't trust Matt Patricia to put together any sort of game plan to benefit their team because I just don't think he's a good head coach. But at the same time, their players will get healthier. Marvin Jones is a guy I think is due for one of those breakout games. He's been off to a pretty slow start. This might be the spot for it. Kenny Galladay's been pretty good since coming back. So this will be a game where Stafford probably puts up some big numbers. Now, can Minshew, of course, backdoor this thing somehow and do well offensively? Yes. But the big problem here is, and you left this out, I don't know if you knew this or not, but DJ Chark with his ankle injury probably won't play in this game. And the one game Chark was out, which was that Thursday nighter against the Dolphins, that's when Minshew looked the worst. So I don't know how much, stock I want to put into that, but when Chark's not on the field in that one game, Minshew played his worst game by far. So that's kind of my thought process there. I think Detroit's offense is good. I've always liked them. I think they'll put up a lot of points in this one. I still think Jacksonville can, but I just like Detroit a little bit more here, and I think they win this game by a decent amount. So I'll take them. Next is Cleveland at Pittsburgh. The Steelers are -3.5. Fun fact, I don't think the Browns have beaten the Steelers at Pittsburgh since 2003, maybe. I mean, like Charlie Bash was the quarterback. This was like pre-Roethlisberger. So we're talking about a long time here. I think it's the first time the Browns have a 4-1 start since maybe like 1994, sometime in the 90s. So there's a lot of like cool facts about this game. You were going to go with Cleveland, which is kind of funny. Usually I'm the one that picks Cleveland. I like Pittsburgh a lot in this game, but I'll let you go first. Why do you like Cleveland so much?
Disappointed in you, Mike. I'm very disappointed that you would go against the Brownies like that, especially when I'm hopping on the train. If Travis Fulgham, Carson Wentz, and Greg Ward can put up 29 points against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham can put up 50. And I mean that. Pittsburgh defense was embarrassing, okay? They didn't establish the run whatsoever, Philadelphia. They had a couple of long runs here and there for Miles Sanders, but they couldn't get anything going. Kevin Stefanski is the guy that I would want coaching a team against a great defensive line that stops the run. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Cleveland here. They surprised me last week. They've surprised me so far this season. Baker Mayfield and that offense are finally clicking. That offensive line is finally getting it done. Baker Mayfield's finally fixed his footwork. He's not really forcing the ball as much. He's spreading it around the field. Austin Hooper getting more involved lately. But I just see Cleveland, almost embarrassing this defense just like Philadelphia did last week.
Those are some big words right there. Okay. Well, I agree about the part with Baker. His footwork and even his pocket awareness has been so much better this year as compared to last year. His left tackle last year was awful. Now you fill in Wills, who's been a lot better. So I think he's more comfortable. Footwork kind of reminds me of the Oklahoma days, even the pocket awareness. So that's good for him. My problem is, though, Baker Mayfield, while I think he's going to play, might have a cracked rib or something. Like he has some type of injury he's dealing with right now. Odell Beckham was sent home with some type of illness today. Of course, you think COVID when that comes up. Hopefully it's just some type of stomach bug and he'll be okay. Need him for my fantasy team, of course. But I don't know. Pittsburgh is just a team that, as you said, they gave up a ton of points against the Eagles, which was embarrassing, the Fulgham-led Eagles. And outside of that one long Miles Sanders run, he really did nothing in the running game. But here's the thing. If you take away that one Miles Sanders run, what did he really do on the ground? Pretty much nothing. There's no Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's on the injury report. I think he'll play, though, but still on the injury report. I think they'll have a very tough time running the ball. And you're going to basically say, make an injured Baker Mayfield go out and beat you in this game. Can he do it? Yeah, because I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's very talented. But I think against a team like the Steelers, who, they've been covering spreads. It's been very close. They barely cover spreads, but they've been doing it all year. Now you're asking them to cover only 3.5 points against the Browns, who once again haven't beat the Steelers at home since 2003. I know it's a different team, obviously, but still. I don't know. I just like them a lot in this matchup. Chase Claypool, is he the best wide receiver in the NFL? I don't know. He played like it last week, right? I mean, he was throwing guys off him. Should have had 5 touchdowns. I'm sure you can attest to that. I mean, I don't think that was offensive pass interference, and that's neither here nor there. But they have a lot of weapons to stop. And if Deontay Johnson can stay healthy for a full game, you're talking about like 3 or 4 guys you really have to take into account here for the Browns defense. And I think Greedy Williams is on IR. They have a lot of injuries right now as well. Carl Joseph, their safety, is on the injury report. There's a lot not going well for the Browns, and their whole injury report is just stacked up and down. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I feel good about it. Now, as I said, my Browns, I hope they somehow win this game. That'd be awesome. But I don't like them too much in this matchup. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, and I feel pretty good about it. Next is a game that when we were on here before we started recording, I had no idea who to pick, but I decided to go against you just for the fun of it. Cincinnati at Indianapolis. You've always picked Indy, I feel like, this year. Indy's a -7.5. The Bengals coming off that 3-point performance against the Baltimore Ravens. Indy coming off that loss against the Browns. And Phillip Rivers throws a pick 6. Who says he won't do it here? But you like Indy, so tell us why.
Well, I like Indy because how is Joe Burrow going to react? Has Joe Burrow ever had a game like that against a team in his football life? Is he going to be worried to throw the ball now? He doesn't know who's coming from his left, who's coming from his right. I think he's going to be scared. And to be completely honest, I think he's going to be scared in this game. He's really not going to know what to do with the ball. Now, I usually don't like taking takes like that. While I'm being recorded, because I don't like being proven wrong. And obviously Joe Burrow's totally capable of doing the exact opposite of what I just said, but I think he'll be a little frightened in this game. And I think that it gives the advantage to the Indianapolis Colts. And who knew? For the longest time, Phillip Rivers has been such a trash talker. Who knew? I watched like 5 or 6 clips of him just yelling at people's ear. Obviously, that famous one, Yannick Ngakoue helping him up and then him screaming in the ear. I mean, that was just bully ball right there. But I think Phillip Rivers is starting to turn things around a little bit. I just traded T.Y. Hilton off my fantasy team, but I do think T.Y. might be picking some things up a little bit. A lot of receptions last week, was a touchdown away from having a really, really solid week fantasy-wise. I think Indianapolis is turning it around here. Obviously, their defense is just huge. They're great. I think since he's a little nervous, I think Joe Burrow is a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk some fantasy on here. Very good time to sell high on T.Y. Hilton, so good job by you. I don't think he'll do much the rest of the year. But yeah, for this game, I wouldn't say Phillip Rivers is going to turn it around, and I don't like the fact that you're going to call Joe Burrow soft on here. I am not a fan of that whatsoever. The guy's going to be fine. I know you're right, though. He probably has never played a game like that. I mean, when he played your Eagles, he was sacked, 8 times in that game? I feel like there were multiple games this year where Joe Burrow was sacked like more than 6 times. So yeah, he's definitely taken some hits this year. It's been rough for him, of course, with this terrible offensive line. But it seemed like Indy, they're middle of the pack when it comes to sacks per game. So, I'm not too afraid of their defensive line. Of course, they have like Justin Houston and DeForest Buckner, guys like that, who definitely can get to the quarterback. But at the same time, their defense isn't that impressive. I know, DVOA-wise, their defense is really good. And I know, some people overhype the Colts defense. But I think the Browns proved to us, I know they had a pick 6, that you can run on them pretty consistently. Baker Mayfield, the first 3 quarters looked great against them. I mean, he had a pretty bad 4th quarter after he was hitting the ribs. But, I just think the Bengals, and I said this last week, so, look what happened there. I just think their offense is too good. I really don't see them losing by more than a touchdown to this Colts team that I think doesn't have much of an identity on offense. Of course, we both like Jonathan Taylor. Should be a good spot for him because the Bengals give up a lot of rush yards every game. Yeah, you like that, don't you? But, if they can somehow just minimize the run game that the Colts have to offer, I think they'll find a way to keep this one pretty close. I still think the Colts win this game, I would say by 3 or 4 points, but I think 7.5 is too much. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I have no confidence in it. Not going to bet this game. I'm going to stay far away from it. You take the Colts. Hopefully I get it right. We'll see. Next is Baltimore. They go on to play the Philadelphia Eagles, who are, what's their record now? 1-3-1? Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's something like that. We don't really like to
Some,
talk about it
yeah.
around here.
You don't want to talk. Okay. Well, I mean, they're almost in first place. You got that going for you.
Yeah.
The Eagles coming off a pretty nice showing against Pittsburgh. Of course, defensively, things could have been a little better. For Baltimore, they come off a dominant victory. I don't know about you, but I just feel like Baltimore has not hit their stride yet. Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't get the same vibes I got from Baltimore last year. I still think there's another gear they can go. Maybe this is the game that happens, but we both happen to like Baltimore here.
Yeah. Again, going against my Eagles, rare sighting. Take a screenshot, take a screen recording, whatever you want to do. But yeah, you are completely right. Baltimore hasn't hit their stride, and the fact that they're doing this well and they still haven't hit their stride is absolutely tremendously scary, to say the least. Lamar Jackson hasn't looked the same, and I think that's really the reason why they haven't been able to get things going. His run packages just aren't the same anymore. Teams are a little bit better defensively against him when he goes outside the pocket. I did hear that Philadelphia was actually using Jalen Hurts as Lamar Jackson in practice, making him run around the field, all sorts of stuff to prepare him for a little bit. So that's a little, encouraging if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, which probably no one watching this is. But I'm still taking the Ravens here. And, you actually traded me Lamar Jackson, and then the week after I traded him. So I kind of got the same vibe from you. I really needed the tight end, Mark Andrews. Now he's on my team. But yeah, I'm going to go Baltimore here. Philadelphia really doesn't have anything going for them. Offensively, they're getting a little bit better, but even if they have Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, they're going to be dinged up. And it doesn't look like they're going to have either of them this week. Zach Ertz not getting the same separation he usually gets against defenders. That's a big loss. You're going to have to rely on Travis Fulgham. How reliable is he against Baltimore's defense? I really don't think that much. And I think this Philadelphia Eagles defense struggled last week. Baltimore is going to just do a lot to them. So I'm going to go Baltimore.
Yeah, a couple of interesting nuggets there. I didn't know about the Jalen Hurts thing in practice being used as like a fake Lamar Jackson. That's some pretty good info right there. But what do you think about Zach Ertz? Is it more of lack of separation, or is it the fact that the Eagles have like no other weapons and that they basically focus all their attention on Ertz? Is it just him being not good, or is it like defenses putting all their attention on him, or just a mixture?
It's funny you ask. I actually saw a stat, and his separation is not that different. Really, I hate to harp on it because I love Carson Wentz, but only 60% of Carson Wentz's passes to Zach Ertz have been deemed catchable. That might be part of it too. Or maybe most of the targets are going to other receivers because, defenders are looking at the field and are going, okay, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, Zach Ertz. Let's double, Zach Ertz. Let's not touch anybody else. Might explain the 130-yard effort or 150-yard effort from Travis Fulgham, but I'm not sure. Might be a Carson Wentz problem again.
Yeah, so once Carson Wentz struggles against this really great secondary and defense of Baltimore, I will ask you next week, is Carson Wentz the next Blake Bortles? We'll get into that next week, so be prepared for that one. I'm just partially kidding. So anyway, I'm going to go with Baltimore as well. I think this is a great game for their offense. Philly's pass defense, I always say, doesn't impress me, never seems to. This should be a game where maybe their defensive line stops to run a little bit, but I think, Baltimore's one of the better running teams in the league. I think offensively they'll have a great day. And for Philly's offense, if they can find a way to cover Zach Ertz and they have some athletic linebackers there, Patrick Queen's been great this year, honestly. He was great against the Bengals. And then you talk about maybe Fulgham just comes out of nowhere and once again has a good game. But then we talk about all these great cornerbacks that the Ravens have. So I think it's going to be a tough day for Carson Wentz where guys are not really getting separation. Guys won't be open, a lot of pressure in his face. And it looks like Carson Wentz is like he puts so much effort into every play. Like I feel bad for the guy, honestly. And I think this is one of those games where we'll have to work very hard and play a perfect football game. I'm not going to bet on that. I think 7.5 is a pretty decent number here. So I'm going to go with the Ravens as well. Hopefully for your sake, your Eagles find a way to pull this
If I'm being
out.
completely honest, I don't even think Carson Wentz having a perfect game does it. If I'm being completely honest, I don't really think so.
Okay, well,
maybe covers the spread.
Yeah, I get what you mean. If you don't have confidence in it, then I think we're pretty good there. All right, so we're both going to go Baltimore. Next is Denver at New England. New England's a 9.5-point favorite. I'm pretty sure both quarterbacks look like they're trending towards playing, that being Drew Lock coming off the injury and Cam Newton coming off the COVIDs. So I think both guys will be back. New England favored by 9.5 here. It's pretty crazy. I went with the Broncos. You went with the Patriots. Tell us why.
I went with the Patriots because I think this rest, for once, is actually going to prove really, really good for a team like the New England Patriots. They have a coach in Bill Belichick. That's a guy that when you have some type of rest like this, That's really good. A guy that can game plan almost 2 weeks, because that whole week they were game planning for Denver, and then they get a whole nother week to game plan for Denver with the anticipation that Cam Newton is back. I think that helps them here. I think they come out and they just absolutely blow by the Broncos, if I'm being completely honest. Drew Lock being back on the field, as much as you and I love Drew Lock, it doesn't really scare me that much. A lot of new pieces around, a lot of new pieces that are lost. I think KJ Hamler is questionable. Obviously, Cortland Sutton, he's out. Don't know about Noah Fant. I think he'll be back in. But I'm not too confident in Denver. They played bad against the Jets. Again, I know Drew Lock wasn't in that game. But I just think it's scary when you're facing Bill Belichick when he's had 2 weeks of preparation for you.
Yeah, what do you think that phone call went like when the NFL calls Bill Belichick, or he finds out about the information of the game being canceled? He's like, oh, I don't talk about this COVID stuff. I don't really,
Yeah. We're on to Denver.
We're on to Denver, and we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. That's absolutely what it was. He doesn't call.
I'm just trying to picture how that would go, but I like Denver because I just don't think the Patriots have the firepower of an offense to beat a team by that much. I know they did it to the Raiders, but I went back and looked at Denver's defense this year. It's been league average. They're league average of getting to the quarterback. They're league average of giving up yards per game. I think this is probably a game that New England wins once again, but I don't see it by being by a ton of points. As you said, I like Drew Lock. You like Drew Lock. We both like him. It's his first game back, which is never good. And Bill Belichick against young quarterbacks sometimes doesn't go too well. Now, of course, having Noah Fant and Jerry Jeudy in that game will be important. KJ Hamler as well. So we'll have to wait and see about that one. But I think if all those guys are healthy, I like Denver's chances here. Now, Melvin Gordon got a DUI for, I guess, drunk driving and going over the speed limit. So I don't know if he's going to play. But I like Phillip Lindsay. I like Royce Freeman. I think their running game should be okay. The Patriots offense, this will be a very slow game by them, I feel like. When the Patriots are favored, we've seen the blueprint before. They want to slow the game down, run the ball 40 times a game, basically. Cam Newton will have his runs. That great Damian Harris guy will have his runs. Burkhead, White. I don't think Michelle's back yet from the injured list, but I still think that the Broncos will keep it close enough. Hopefully I'm right about that one, but then, of course, there's the scenario where they can't stop the run game of the Patriots and they kill them, so we'll have to see about that one. Next, we are on to the New York Jets at Miami. So Miami's a 9.5-point favorite. Me and you discussed before, like, when did we ever think Miami was going to be 9.5-point favorites? Well, the answer is when you play a team like the Jets, it's going to happen. Now, I will say that of all the games this year, every week I've said this year, like, there's not even any thought into it. I'm picking against the Jets. This was the 1 week, as I told you, where I was really on the fence about picking the Jets. And I saw I heard a stat on the radio that Joe Flacco, a lifetime, is 6-0 against the Dolphins. I know it was probably part of the Ravens, maybe even the Broncos. But at the same time, it's an interesting stat. I'm not going to take too much into it. It's a revenge game for Adam Gase, which I always like. But do these players even want to play for him? I don't know. So we both went with Miami, but I will say I was on the fence about the Jets.
I would have loved to see Le'Veon Bell just trade sides in this game. I mean, it would have been absolutely wonderful for him to go up against Adam Gase. He would have said, screw the playbook, put me on the field. I'm running every single play out here. But Ryan Fitzpatrick doing Ryan Fitzpatrick things against bad defenses. But it wasn't really a bad defense this time. He actually played a half-decent defense and still got it done. That's scary if you're the Jets right now, especially if you're Adam Gase, because you're preparing for one of the most unpredictable QBs in probably the history of the position. I mean, again, this guy throws 190 yards, 3 picks to 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's just what he does. He's scary. I would not like to be facing him. He just does the weirdest things, has the weirdest celebrations. He's just an overall weird and scary guy to go up against. And this Jets defense has not impressed me so far this year. And, I'm going to go, against your rule, or not against your rule, with your rule, never pick the Jets. The Jets stink. Adam Gase stinks. Everybody stinks. So I'm going to go Miami. 9.5. I don't know when the last time Miami's been a 9.5 favorite, probably since I was born, but I'm going to take Miami here.
Yeah, maybe even before that. I do remember you saying a couple weeks ago, that's one of my favorite lines from this show we've been doing so far, is like, oh, the Jets are unpredictable. I'm like, no, they stink. And you know what? They do stink. We know that. I think Mekhi Becton, their left tackle, is probably not going to play here. They might get some receiving options back. I think Brashad Perriman might come back. Denzel Mims finally practiced. I'd be surprised if he plays, but that's also like a what if, so we'll see about him. Of course, Jamison Crowder's been good for the Jets, but with their best offensive lineman not being there, them probably not wanting to play for Adam Gase at this point. Now, maybe you can make the argument on the other side here that Joe Flacco looked competent last week. They get that bad apple of Le'Veon Bell out of the locker room. Maybe he was sending some bad vibes around the Jets, so maybe they didn't really want any part of him, and that helps the team. But at the same time, it's the Jets, and I think we saw the Dolphins last week against the Niners defense that is better than the Jets. I know they're not as good as they were last year, but still a lot better than the Jets. Go out and put up what you said, 42 points. There might have been some defensive touchdowns in there for how ugly that one was, but at the same time, the Dolphins have looked pretty good recently. And as you said, Ryan Fitzpatrick, unpredictable guy, a revenge game for him. I feel like every game is a revenge game for him, but had a nice year or two for the Jets, and now he'll come back to face them. Preston Williams finally broke out last week. Gesicki looks all right. Preston Parker does it. Not Preston. Oh, my God. Giants fans are going to hate me for that one. Devontae Parker. Jeez, that guy couldn't catch
Preston Williams.
Preston Parker. Yeah, Preston Williams. I just think that the Dolphins are a much better team, and they're at home. So I will say they win this game by 10 or more. I'm not too confident, but we both go with the Dolphins there. Next, we are on to a fun game here, one of the 4 o'clock games. This also pissed me off. We'll talk about this, sidebar real quick. Why did the NFL have 2 4 o'clock games this week? And one of them was the Jets-Dolphins. I don't know if they wanted the whole country to watch this Buccaneers and Green Bay game, but why would you do that to us? We are great football fans here that are fans of this league, and you stick us with the Jets and Dolphins as one of the 2 games in a 4 o'clock slate. I just don't like it personally.
Oh, I mean, how could you? It's the Jets and the Dolphins. Like, this is like a Thursday night football matchup on a Sunday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it does mean that my Eagles should be on live TV, so that's exciting.
There you go. All right, that's facts. Okay, well, so Green Bay at Tampa Bay. Green Bay undefeated this year. Tampa Bay is 3-2, I believe. Green Bay is a -1 on the road. I like the Packers. You like the Buccaneers. I could see both sides of it, but tell us why.
Yeah, this game's a toss-up, and I think this is one that Vegas nailed perfectly. A 1-point favorite in this is exactly what I was thinking. Has there ever been a half-point favorite ever? I don't think I've ever seen a half-point favorite in my life. I thought this might be the first time I've ever seen it, but apparently not. I'm going to go Tampa Bay. I don't know the last time Tom Brady's lost 2 straight games, especially when he's yelling the way he's yelling, and you can tell he really wants to win out there. He was struggling against Chicago. He was struggling bad, but I think he has a comeback week here. They do get Chris Godwin back this week, which is encouraging. So Chris Godwin, Mike Evans on the same field at the same time. That is, again, a very scary sight to see if you're a Green Bay Packer fan, but I'm going purely off Tom Brady here. I think he has a bounce-back week. A lot of questionable decisions. And you know damn well that guy knew it was 4th down when it was 4th down. I don't want to hear anything else. Bruce Arians said it. Bruce Arians was like, yeah, Tom Brady knew it was 4th down. That was just an ugly throw. Like, enough, Tom Brady. And the fact that he didn't shake my Nick Foles' hand for the 2nd time, that is disappointing from Tom Brady. Have some class, man. You're one of the best, if not the best football player of all time. Have some class. But I'm still going to go with you here against the Packers.
Yeah, I saw that too. He didn't shake his hand. Now, I'm going to give him a pass due to the COVID stuff. That's the one thing I'm going to say. But if it was like, I know you want to throw it out the window, but still, that's like the one thing. I know there's a lot of
spreading. He shook everybody else's hand this year.
Did he? That's not a good look then. I'm sorry. I think he probably should have. I mean, he's salty. What can I say?
And he didn't do it in the Super Bowl either.
Well, that one's more understandable. I mean, like, if I lost a Super Bowl in Tom Brady's situation, I ain't shaking hands. I'm just saying. Like, I know I'm not a professional athlete, but I am not going to be out there shaking, hey, good game, man. Like, I just lost the biggest game of my life. No, that's not happening. I'm going straight to the locker room, putting my hands in my face. I'm not doing that. But, yeah, for this game, I like Green Bay. I think they get Devontae Adams back. Now, I think Chris Godwin comes back maybe for the Buccaneers. That's a bit of a toss-up there. They lose O.J. Howard for the year. I mean, I don't know about the Buccaneers. They're just running this vertical offense here, which I usually like Bruce Arians' offense, but it just seems like it hasn't been working as well as it should. I think a lot of times receivers are letting Tom Brady down, as we admitted before. Mike Evans was hobbled, very hobbled last week. Hopefully he's a bit more healthy for this game. Now, I could see, either team winning this one here. I think the Buccaneers run game will have some success because the Packers run defense isn't the best. We know the Packers defense in general is beatable. I will say that. But Green Bay has looked so damn good on offense this year. I think I saw today that Aaron Rodgers has a 96 PFF grade. I know some people don't care about PFF. I have never seen a grade that high, like 4 games into a season. So I don't know
Mm.
how he does it. But the guy's been a magician this year. He gets his best receiver back now. Aaron Jones has been a stud as well. This Robert Tonyan guy at tight ends coming out of nowhere. I just think Rodgers is too good right now. I think Tampa Bay will still find a way to make the playoffs, even if they go 3-3 after this. But I like Green Bay a lot here. I'm going to go with them. They might be one of my favorite bets this week. I just think they're the better team, and it's only 1 point. There might be games in Tampa. I'm not really sure. Probably won't be full capacity anyway, but I'm going to go with Green Bay. You are going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next is the LA Rams. They're at San Francisco. LA is a -3. The Niners come off that very, very just ugly loss against the Dolphins. The Rams come off that very, very nice win against Washington on the road. So I'm going to go with San Francisco here, just on the thought that everyone probably thinks San Francisco sucks now, but Vegas probably knows more than we do. So I'm picking them. You go with LA. Tell us why.
Well, I've been high on LA, the LA Rams specifically. Make sure we're not mixing up the Chargers here. I've been high on them all year long, and I like them against Dallas. I think this is a very similar matchup defensively for the Rams. I think, honestly, week 1, I think the 49ers offense and the Dallas Cowboys offense is very similar. They're very creative on offense. I think the Rams have seen this type of offense before, and let's face it, how much confidence can you have right now if you're Jimmy Garoppolo? You just got benched by your coach for, was it CJ Beathard or was it Nick? I think it was both. They both came in, no?
I think it was Beathard. I don't know if Mullins played that
Well,
game. I think it was
Beathard
Beathard.
looked great. So, I mean, if I was San Francisco, I would start Beathard. But nah, I'm just kidding. Garoppolo is obviously going to be in there, but he's not going to have a lot of confidence. This is another tricky one for me where I really don't know where Vegas is going. You might be right. They might have, know something that we don't. But I've been high on the Rams all year. I'm not about to hop off the train now. If they can do what they did and almost cover the spread against Buffalo, I'm higher on Buffalo than I am on the 49ers by far at this point in the season. I think LA gets it done.
I have bad news for you. 2 bad things. I have the Rays game on next to me. Do you know what just happened or no?
No, but I know you're watching the game, and I saw you peek over there. I'm a little concerned.
I made a grimace because I was not happy. I didn't even realize it was the bottom of the ninth. I thought it was top of the ninth. Carlos Correa, who we both despise, he's like the worst person ever, hit a walk-off home run off Nick Anderson. Now it's 3-2. I'll tell you what, they better not blow that damn series. I would be so disappointed. I mean, I don't even like the Rays, but if they lose to the damn Astros in 3-0.
Where was this Rays offense against us, man? They stink. They stink.
Well, we have J Happ, and we picked that Loizaga. We pitched a Loizaga guy that you love. I mean, like, come on.
Stop. Loizaga's the GOAT.
All right, where are we at? I'm taking San Francisco, as I said before. I think San Francisco's roster, while they are injured and Bosa's out for the year and Thomas is out for the year, and some of their receivers are taking a little while to get back here. Debo Samuel, came back in like week 3 or week 4. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is in a nice bounce back spot. I think Garoppolo's had games before where he plays injured and it doesn't go well. This is probably another instance of it. I think he'll heal up a bit more this week. He'll come back and looking a lot better. I think they'll move the ball very well here. Once again, I think George Kittle will probably have a big game here. He was pretty quiet last week. I think this is a big game for him. I trust the creativity of Kyle Shanahan. I know, of course, Sean McVay can do the same thing. And the Rams' defensive line has been great this year, so it will be tough. There might be some pressure here. But I trust them to move the ball offensively. The Niners' defense got embarrassed. They should be a lot better. I trust Robert Saleh. Seems like a good defensive coordinator, so they should figure some things out there. Sometimes the Rams just get shut down. Like the Giants did it somehow, and then sometimes, last year, even 2018, teams find something with the Rams to slow them down. I trust the Niners to do that. Divisional opponent, they've seen them a lot. So I will trust the Niners here. Of course, I could see the Rams winning this one by like 14 points. You never know. But for the sake of this, I will go with the Niners. I don't trust this. I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet it for real. But I will take the Niners there. Next is a fun game. Monday night, I believe, the earlier Monday night game. I think one of these teams was supposed to play Thursday. Maybe this was supposed to be a Thursday game, but it's the KC Chiefs at Buffalo. Yeah. KC's a -3.5. So I like KC. You go Buffalo. Both teams are not really playing too well right now. I mean, their records still look good, of course. But, KC the last 2 weeks, they're 1-1, I think. But they didn't look good last week. Their defense was awful. And the Bills are coming off a game where they couldn't stop Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. So both teams need to bounce back here. And it looks like you trust the Bills more.
Yeah, this is just like a Buffalo type week. They always usually come off of bad weeks and just have incredible games. And it really stinks for the Chiefs in this situation because the Chiefs are struggling too. Maybe Le'Veon Bell, the addition of Le'Veon Bell helps them in the future. It's not going to help them in this game. He's really not going to get anything going. He probably doesn't know the playbook that well yet. But I'm not too confident in KC right now. I view the Raiders as a much better team offensively or I view Buffalo as a much better team offensively and defensively than Las Vegas. But Las Vegas just seems to know what they're doing against Kansas City, and it concerns me a little bit. I think that's why Vegas made this so much closer than you would, genuinely or generally think this should be. But I'm going to go Buffalo here, and I think they're going to win this game, not only cover the spread.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, Buffalo's a good team. I mean, were they a bit overhyped? Maybe, but they're still a good team. I still think they win that division. But KC, I think they finally get things right. I think we've seen too many instances the past 2 weeks when watching Mahomes closely is that he's just trying to go for big plays too much. You need to just take what the defense gives you, my guy. That's when you're at your best. As you said, Le'Veon Bell probably does not play for the Chiefs in this game here, but at the same time, they have enough weapons. I think Sammy Watkins, the guy who thinks he's born on a different planet, as we went over before. He's going to be out this game, I think. I think Mecole Hardman might have a big game here, but for the Bills, might be a big game for John Brown. I think he might have an injury because, the Chiefs have given up some big plays this year. So John Brown is their big play guy. We'll see what happens there. But I do trust the Chiefs more to bounce back here. I like their coaching staff more. Their defensive coordinator, Spagnuolo, should put together a good game plan here because the Chiefs, I mean, they're exploitable offensively. I mean, Josh Allen just makes some crazy plays out of nowhere here or there. But, I think if you put together a good game plan against him, you could limit him, force the running game to beat you and Devin Singletary and guys like that. So I'm going to trust that the Chiefs get this thing and have a nice win here. I think they'll win this game by 4 or more. So I will take the Chiefs there in the early part of the Monday games. And lastly, it should be a very fun one. Unfortunately, Dak's not playing. It would have been better. But the Arizona Cardinals visit the Dallas Cowboys. Arizona, 1.5-point favorites on the road. As we usually do, we both pick the Cardinals here.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Cardinals here. I have a little bit of an interesting stat for you. In the first 3 games of the season this year, the Cowboys let up more than 20 rush yards to the quarterback in all 3. This is probably their biggest test quarterback-wise. I mean, they've had to face Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan. I mean, some guys that can run. I mean, Daniel Jones obviously leading in that category out of the 3. But, it kind of scares me here. Kyler Murray scares me against this team. He likes to go deep a lot against with DeAndre Hopkins. And let's face it, Dallas secondary, they are garbage. I mean, they get torched every single play. Everybody can score against them. You're bad when you let up 34 points in the Giants offense. It's just the way it is. I'm not trying to flame anybody here. It's just the way it is. They haven't scored an offensive touchdown in a game before that. They didn't even score an offensive touchdown. What was it, 2 games? They didn't score an offensive touchdown before they did. So, I mean, let's be honest here. What is Dallas doing defensively? They need to start making some moves, maybe coaching-wise there. But, again, it comes down to the decision to draft CeeDee Lamb. If you really think about it, they drafted the best talent player rather than the position need, and now it's coming back to bite them a little bit. Obviously, I say that as an Eagles fan that absolutely wanted CeeDee Lamb. But, yeah, I'm going to go Arizona here. Been confident with Arizona, almost every single game this year, if not every single game this year. I like Arizona a lot. They've disappointed me a little bit, but Kyler Murray looked fantastic with DeAndre Hopkins, and, man, did that pairing get me hyped up. I'm going to go with Arizona.
I still like how you just try to crap on the Giants any way possible.
Oh,
I mean,
stop.
come on, come on.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not. All right, fine. I do it to the Eagles too, so it's fair game. But as you said, I think Calamar is going to have a nice game here on the ground. For those who don't know what that is, I think, who was it? Quentin Williams, I think. Who was he?
Yeah, I actually heard they were accepting trade calls for Quentin Williams, say the Jets.
The Jets. But yeah, apparently he pronounces his name like calamari, so that's kind of why I said it. But for this game, we don't see the Cardinals on national TV too much, especially since the Cliff Kingsbury era. They might have had like a Thursday night game. They did have a Thursday night game last year. But I think this is the game where Cliff Kingsbury says, all eyes on me, Everyone's watching me. I'm putting together my best game plan here, and he's going to put up a lot of points on this very crappy defense. If Arizona scored 45 in this game, I know it's a ton of points. I wouldn't be shocked. I think they have the firepower to do it. I think Christian Kirk's finally coming around. As you said, DeAndre Hopkins has been a great year for him so far. Kenyon Drake finally had a touchdown, so that was good to see. Chase Edmonds has been a good receiving option for them this year. That guy, Dan Arnold, gets a few random receptions at tight end here or there. And their offensive line, while it's not the best, is competent. So they'll be okay. Defensively, they lose Chandler Jones. I would have felt better about them if they had him. That's a big loss for them, of course. But, Arizona's defense, while it's not the most talented, is still not the worst. They have that great linebacker in Jordan Hicks, right? That guy is just incredible.
He's absolutely amazing.
I can't imagine letting him go. But anyway,
stupidity.
You know what's funny though? Isaiah Simmons barely plays. I don't know what's going on there. If he's having a really tough time.
It is weird, right? I haven't heard anything about Isaiah Simmons this year.
He's really not playing much apparently. So that is something to watch out for. I'll try and see how much he plays, watching that full game, because I am excited to watch that game. And this is, as Tony Dungy said, and he worded this one very wrongly. Like when he said it on TV, he said it's a blessing in disguise that Dak got hurt, but I wouldn't put it that way. But as he said, this will kind of get them back to what the Cowboys used to do when Romo was there, kind of have an even passing to running attempt ratio. Now, I don't know if it'll change completely because Mike McCarthy in the offseason or even last year when he didn't coach, it looked into analytics a lot. Analytics tell you to pass the ball more than you run the ball, so maybe that's just a new Mike McCarthy we're seeing here. But at the same time, they might get back to more of a even running and passing approach with Andy Dalton under center now. Maybe Zeke gets things going. Their offensive line for the Cowboys was very injured last week at least. They had 3 of their 5 starters out. Travis Frederick leaves. I think Zach Martin was the only guy there that's good. The rookie center, Biotish, is there. Their right guard's out. Left tackle Smith is out. So a lot of injuries for their offensive line. But if they can get enough push here against a defensive line for the Cardinals, which isn't the best. It's not the worst. It's an average defensive line. I think Zeke can have a nice game here. And, of course, as you said, covering those weapons for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb has been great this year. Amari Cooper, most games when he's not facing James Bradbury, has been great this year. And Michael Gallup makes big plays. So I think it'll be a high-scoring, fun game. I think Arizona can win this thing, as I said, 45-35 maybe or something. It'll be a really fun game to watch. Big fantasy football game for some people out there. I think it'll be a fun Monday night game. But, we both go with the Cardinals there. So that'll do it. We'll go favorite bets real quick. Tell me your 2 favorite this week, Andrew.
My 2 favorite will be L.A. Rams and why not? Since you're so confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll take the Browns.
Wow. Okay.
Your Brownies.
All right. We've never won against each other in a favorite bet. This is definitely a developing story here. So you're gonna take the Rams at a -3, and you're gonna take. I wrote Pittsburgh because I'm dumb. You're gonna take Cleveland as a +3.5. My favorites, of course, I'm going to take Pittsburgh now. I mean, I was going to anyway, but that just makes me want to do it even more. -3.5, and I will take Green Bay -1. I think they're the better team.
I'm surprised no one picked Baltimore.
The Eagles, they're legit. What can I say? I can't go against them. I mean, come on, I'm not a crazy person.
All right, I have a little something for you before we end here.
All right, go ahead.
Over under 55. That's the over under for Arizona and Dallas. What do you got?
Well, if I think Arizona's putting up 45, then no, I'm kidding. I think honestly, if I'm being realistic, I think they put up at least 35. So at that point, you're asking Dallas to score 20. Yeah, I would take that over. I mean, I don't like the bet overs because I feel like everyone does it, but in this particular game, I just feel like it's probably going to happen. So yeah, that might be something I bet. But that'll do it for week 6 spread picks with Mike and Andrew. Follow that man on Instagram, Bronx Bombers, 2 S's on the end if you're a Yankees fan. Oh, yeah, he's the shirt and everything. You should send those to people if they want them. If you want a sweatshirt, let him know in the comments. So I don't know if people are watching this late. Let us know below. Yeah.
Let me know.
Get one for free. Yeah.
If you're a committed viewer and you're all the way at this point, it's probably 45, 50 minutes at this point, you can get a sweatshirt.
Hey, we had a fun show today. All right, so I will talk to you guys next week with this guy. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next week.